Hi guys, and thank you guys for tuning into today's video. As I mentioned in my last video, today we're going to be talking about what life has been like living with cancer and some of my adventures throughout my 6 years. I hope you guys like my new camera. It's a lot better than the old one. Now sit back and enjoy and watch the video. I hope you guys really like it. Hi guys, and thank you so much for joining me today. So, if we're gonna be talking about my life in 6 years, we're gonna have to go back a couple years. Now, it was around the beginning of the year in 2013, and it started with headaches. Now, they weren't your typical headaches. I had what I call now my cancer headaches. A typical headache lasts a couple hours, maybe. If you take a Tylenol, it'll help. My cancer headaches lasted about, 10 seconds, and it would just radiate everywhere. And it was the worst pain. At the time, I was working as a security guard at an active construction site when all of a sudden I dropped on the floor, holding my head, yelling as loud as I can because I was in so much pain. When I finally came to, I was so dizzy. I was out of it. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. I had to sit down for like a good hour before I finally figured out, like, whoa. So I called and I made an appointment with a neurologist. They examined me. They did MRIs. They found absolutely nothing wrong. It was just panic, they said. It was just stress. So, fast forward in June, I got with my then girlfriend. We had just gotten together. We had maybe 2 weeks or 1 week together when my left eye started hurting. And it was a really bad pain. It felt like someone stabbed me. It felt like someone was in my eyeball squishing the life out of it. So I decided to go to the emergency room with her. And they ran tests after tests, and they finally called the ENT specialist, which is an ear, nose, throat doctor. And they came in with this very long scope. It was a camera. They shoved it up my nose. Horrible experience, by the way. And they saw a mass. Now, they told me, Steven, you have a mass. And that they wanted to keep me. So I went to the pediatrics room because I was 19 and technically I still was pediatric care. And so they ran a biopsy, which for those that don't know, what a biopsy is that they take these special scissors and they go in and they take out a little small piece of the tumor, and then they examine it to see if it's cancerous or not. On a day that I'll never forget, 4 doctors came into my room and told me that I have cancer. I remember that day perfectly because once they said that I have cancer, I don't know what else they said. My ears rang. I sat down in complete shock in my bed because I couldn't feel my feet. And I remember just tears just came down like waterfalls. And the doctors were still talking. I have no idea what they said because I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear. I was just in my head, oh my God, this is it. My life is over. I'm dead. I have cancer, right? I can't, my life is over. My girlfriend at the time came and hugged me as tight as she could, and I could feel her, but I couldn't hear anybody. As I looked to the doctors to examine their faces, they were in shock. One of the female doctors was crying, and they left. I don't know how long they were in there. I don't know what they said, but I just remember having cancer. Later that night, my family would come, and I broke the news to them. Now, my father, I look up to my father. I love that man, and he's an amazing, amazing father to me. He's an amazing person. He's lovable. But he's only cried a few times in his life. He's old school Mexican. Yeah, can't show emotions, can't show feelings. But he's one of the most loving people in the world. He's only cried when, his brother and his mother passed away. And he bawled his eyes out like I've never seen in my 19 years of life. My mom and my sister were crying. My brother was crying. My niece didn't know what was going on. She just knew it was a sad moment. She was just hugging me. And that's when it all started. After 3 weeks of being in the hospital, they sent me home to enjoy the last couple days I had before chemo started. And I believe on July 13th, 2013, I was diagnosed with cancer. And it all started for me from there. They started me on three really, really aggressive chemotherapies. One of them was called 5FU. The other one is called cisplatin, and the other one, for the life of me, I cannot remember at all. So I know it's a little like, whoa, he just said FU. No, that's what it's called. I don't know why it's called 5FU, but it is. And so my chemo would last 24 hours for 5 days nonstop. So that means that when one chemo would end, I'd have maybe a 2 minute break while they were cleaning out the IVs, and the other one would start pumping. And when the other one ended, back to the third one, and then when that ended, back to 5FU. When 5FU ended, back to cisplatin, and it was just for 24 hours nonstop for 5 days. I slowly started losing weight. Back then I was exercising, so I wasn't, super buff with like huge muscles and whatnot, but I was fit. I had a mini 4-pack, right? I had like the V shape down there, and like I was like, yeah, don't mess with me. And I went from weighing around 150 to around 90 pounds in about a month. Food became non-desirable for me, and anytime I had anything in my stomach, immediately I would throw it out. Um, if you follow me on Instagram, which is S Toledo to S Toledo 93, there's a picture of me in a wheelchair with my head down and a beanie on and a blue jacket. That was me coming out of my first round of chemo. I'll never forget it. You know that feeling you get when you feel dirty, and like you're not actually dirty, you just kind of feel nasty, you just feel dirty, so you think a hot shower will fix it. I remember coming home and I just felt gross. I just felt like a sludge. I just felt nasty. So I hopped in the shower and didn't help. I felt weak. Didn't feel like myself. Steven had died, and this new Steven with cancer had emerged, and I was not happy. Now, what sucks is that my girlfriend and I at the time were only together for about a month and a half before I got diagnosed with cancer. It was a brand new relationship. We didn't get to enjoy each other as much as I would have liked. But what's amazing about her, even to this day, and I admire her for it, and my family admires her for it too, is that she stayed with me through the hardest times of my life. She would come over and stay with me by my side for 24 hours. And if she couldn't stay for 24 hours because, parents and the rules and all that stuff, she would stay with me as much as she can. Bored out of her mind because I couldn't talk. I was just too weak to get up. I was so weak. And this is a part of my life I don't like talking about, but I will be fully honest with you. I was so weak I couldn't make it to the restroom. So I would defecate and I would use the restroom on myself. I couldn't make it to the restroom. And as embarrassing as that is, she would help me. And I will never be able to thank her enough, and she knows this. And if she's watching, thank you so much. You have no idea what you've done for me. But she was strong for me when I couldn't be. A lot of people came and visited me. A lot. My friends from high school, my friends from church. Because I am Christian, I grew up in church, and I was in a youth group band with them. Now, I did lose some friends along the way. More church friends, people that I used to call brothers. As soon as I got sick, they never even even to this day, they have not sent even one message asking me how I am. That's when I realized that with a sickness, you realize when you're going through something turbulent in your life, when it becomes real, that's when you know who your real friends are and who isn't. Who's gonna be there for you to the last breath you take, and who's gonna abandon you in your time of need. And it was a hard realization to come to. I'm 19 years old, right? My life had just begun. Excuse me. And I needed everybody, and some people disappeared on me. Now, to those people that were there for me, like my school friends and my family, I will never be able to thank enough for visiting me, even if it was just for 5 minutes. We actually went against hospital protocol a lot because more than 20 people would be in the room. And for those that have had visitors before at the hospital, you're only allowed like 2 or 3. If you have family, it's fine. But I would, the whole room would fill up. They wouldn't be they'd stand like this close to each other because there was no space. Now, as the months went by, they wanted me to start radiation. So this was all 2013. I started radiation around my birthday, and it ended around December. So September through December, I was doing radiation. Now, it was my first round of radiation. As you know, right now I'm doing my second round of radiation, 6 years later. And it was intense. I started losing my hair more. I lost my saliva. I lost my taste. And I lost my sense of smell. To this day, I barely have any saliva. I don't have a sense of smell. And food still tastes a little funny to me. When I left, I was at LAC USC in Los Angeles, right? When I finished treatment there, I went to City of Hope in Duarte for a second opinion. And they told me I had 6 months left to live. I couldn't believe it, because getting told that you have cancer is a big deal, right? It hit me like a freight train at 100 miles an hour. I lost it. When they told me I had 6 months left to live, it was like getting hit by the same train over again. Every night, I would say goodbye to my family and to my girlfriend, because I didn't know what night was going to be my last night on this earth. And at 19 years old, that is terrifying. I was in school. I had this new girlfriend I couldn't really enjoy. And now I'm dying. And they started me on some treatment at City of Hope, which helped. It reduced the tumor. I think, if I remember right, and again, guys, I don't remember, it was like this big. And it shrank down to about this big. Right? Which was great. I wasn't dying anymore. Great news. And that's what started my journey at City of Hope. Unfortunately, it's 2014. And the worst thing that could happen to me besides cancer happened. My dad was an illegal immigrant at the time. And immigration came, ICE, and took him from our home and got deported back to Mexico. I was still undergoing this new chemo, and I was still dealing with the side effects when my dad got taken. I was completely devastated. I fell into the worst depression. I didn't want to go to chemo. I wanted to give up. Without my dad here, although I had my mom and my sister and my brother and my niece, I just didn't want to do it. What was the point if I couldn't have my father here? And it was really hard. He was gone for 2 years. And I got everything in order. I got my passport updated. And I went to go visit him as soon as I could. And he just looked different. That wasn't my gleeful dad. That wasn't my dad who told jokes. That was a defeated man. And that was the very first time that I saw my father defeated. And it broke my heart. And I'm really holding back the tears right now because it's a really hard topic to talk about. Now, a lot of people don't know my story. A lot of people don't know this side of me. They don't know what happened. And excuse the tissues, but I am emotional about this. Um, obviously, people who are very close to me know, but a lot of people who pray for me, a lot of people who are supportive of me, especially when my jiu-jitsu family, they don't know my full story. So, after losing my father, and doing the chemo stops working. So by then, this is the fourth chemo I'm on. The fifth one started. And then the sixth one started. And then the seventh one started. And the tumor had just learned how to outmaneuver and outsmart the chemotherapies. And what turned into 3 chemos turned into 10 chemos. Unfortunately, these last chemos I've gotten were my last chemos. There are no more options for me. This radiation, which ends tomorrow, by the way. Today is Wednesday, July 19th. Tomorrow will be Thursday, July 20th. Will be the last saving grace until a new one comes around, if I'm still alive. After tomorrow, there is no for sure treatment. My tumor has officially outsmarted science. I pray every day that this tumor dies, that this cancer goes away. I don't remember what it feels like to be healthy. I've learned to live with my cancer. I learned to cope with it. But it has taken away many, many things. I have a lot of mouth infections and a lot of throat infections and a lot of nose infections due to it. Those infections have made me lose my appetite, have made me have horrible breath, to the point where my ex-girlfriend or my current girlfriend wouldn't want to get near me. And I don't blame them. They don't blame me. It's just all that stuff, all that poison I've gotten over the years. Now, as you can see, I'm a little bald. It was worse. I lost a good amount of my eyebrows, which are growing back slowly. And I have to say that I've lost a lot. I fell into a depression. I blamed God for so long. I hated God. And when I mean hate, I mean hate. Like, if God was a person, I wanted to choke the life out of God. That's how angry I was. That's how much I hated God. When my ex-girlfriend and I ended things, I was the furthest person away from God. I was the furthest person, like the furthest away you can be from God. And we broke up because of that. She's Christian, and, so was I. But I just had hate in my heart. And one of the reasons why we broke up is because she wanted me to be closer to God. And I did. As soon as we broke up, I started going to church. I got on my knees and I asked God for forgiveness, because how could I be angry at the one person, at the one God keeping me alive? If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't wake up every morning. If it wasn't for God, He wouldn't have put those doctors in my way, those chemos in my way, to have let me live as long as I have lived. And I will never let a day go past that I will not thank my Lord and Savior. I became closer to God, and unfortunately, she fell in love with someone else while I was waiting for her to come back, because she was so focused on school. And I went a year being single to finding a new girlfriend who is insane. She is the craziest girlfriend I've ever had, but I swear to God, she drives me insane, but I love her. Today, as of right now, I am terrified. I don't know what will happen. Nobody knows their future. Nobody knows the future. Only God Himself knows. At least that's what I believe. I don't know if I'll live a month. I don't know if I'll see my birthday this year. I don't know if I'll get to spend my mom's birthday with her this year. I don't know if I'll live another 10 years. I don't know if I'll ever be able to, I don't know if I'll ever be able to be called a father, to be called a husband. My nieces are the closest thing I'll ever have to being a father as of right now. I pray every day that this is gone. But I'm not the only one praying. I have a support system that literally goes around the world. People in other churches all over the world are praying for me. People that aren't Christian send out good, encouraging words towards me. I was doing jiu-jitsu for a while because I was finally doing okay on an immunotherapy, and my jiu-jitsu family became huge, and all of them would send me encouraging words. To this day, they still do, and I will love them forever for that. My friends from high school check up on me. My girlfriend takes care of me. My family goes above and beyond what they have to do to make sure that I'm comfortable. Leaving them behind scares the living crap out of me. I don't know what will happen when I'm gone. And that's what scares me the most. But I do have good news. All of this has come with good news, and that's that I haven't given up, and I won't. I refuse to let my cancer define me. As of right now, starting Monday, I will go back to the gym. I won't start crazy, but I will start exercising. And in the fall, I will return to school. I will try to live a normal life as much as I can while I still have time here. And I encourage those that are in a down spot, who are in just a tight spot that they can't seem to get out of, that they see no hope in their future. Let's just hold on. Just stay strong a little longer, and I promise you will see the light. I know what it feels like to be just surrounded by darkness, to feel alone, and I promise you that you aren't. I promise you that you are loved. I promise you that there's someone there praying for you, holding on to you. My cancer has taken away almost everything. I have not been in control of my life for almost 6 years. But I have surrounded myself with people who love me, who would, if they could, they would take my cancer with them and they die than rather see me suffer for another day, another hour, another minute. And for that, I love my family. I love my friends. I love my support system, from other people around the world to my jiu-jitsu family, to my girlfriend and her family. I will never ever forgive. I will never ever forget what my ex-girlfriend has done for me. From staying up late, to taking care of me, to giving me encouraging words, and to being the only one to be there for me when I needed her the most. I'm excited because I will live my life to the best of my abilities, surrounded by people I love. And that's the story of how I've lived with my cancer. I know I didn't go into a lot of detail, but in between 2014 and 2019, not a lot happened. My dad did come back in 2016 legally, and he is still here, and we thank God every day that he is. Our family was not complete without him. I had to celebrate birthdays without my father, and knowing that I don't have to anymore is the best feeling in the world. I love him, and I make sure I tell him every day. It hasn't been easy, and it never will be. But one day, I hope that God cures me, and it will all be over soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. I don't know when I'll upload the next video. I don't know what it'll be about, but stay tuned, and I hope you guys really like this video. Please leave any comments if you have any questions, please feel free to leave any. I will answer them to the best of my abilities. Thanks guys, and have a good one.
Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby.